Okay. How to advise someone who shows disdain towards the limits of the Sharia? Okay, Bismillah. This is quite an important question, and it requires definitely requires some knowledge, and it requires some tact. Someone who's showing disdain towards the limits of the Sharia is in a dangerous situation. Disdain or disregard, or disregard doesn't, we're not talking about laziness, but someone dismissing the Sharia, or someone criticizing it or looking down at it. Ultimately, what it comes down to is not being in agreement on being critical of God, because the rulings of the Sharia, have been revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, it's perfectly plausible that a human being or a person does not understand the ruling, or if they understand the ruling, that for them not to understand the context in which that ruling was revealed or it's intended, or if it's it can also be the case that they don't understand the wisdom why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has legislated it like this. So someone, for example, they look at inheritance and say, okay, well, the son gets twice the share of the daughter. Why is that? That's unfair. But then you look in the broader context, the son is expected to provide for his wife. He's expected to, like, if his sister is financially struggling, he's expected to help her out. The daughter, if she's married, then the husband provides for her. Otherwise, the father is has to provide for her if she's unable to provide for herself. These sorts of things. So there's provision within the rulings for other scenarios as well. So there's wisdom in this, and so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran, revealed the Sharia with wisdom. So someone who's showing disdain or disregard, of the Sharia, or disdain towards it, or criticism, I mean, the simple advice is to say, look, you may not understand it, you may be uncomfortable with some elements of it, but it's been revealed by God, and so show, at least don't be critical. Like, for example, if someone, there's two ways of asking why, right? Like we've talked in the past about someone struggling with something in life and says, why is this happening to me? Right? Or say, the second type of why is, what's the wisdom behind this happening to me? There's one is a questioning and objection, and the other is a way of seeking understanding. The latter is fine, and you can ask questions about the Sharia. But if there's criticism or something like this, it's very dangerous ground. It can lead someone into a very dangerous situation. So we ask Allah's protection. How do you advise someone? Don't go there showing force, because it's going to put them on the defensive, and you don't want them to put themselves against God, on the opposite side of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Islam. You don't want that. Rather, what you want is for them to be in a situation where they can understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us, or if it's beyond their understanding, or if they've understood it but they're struggling with it, for them to say, Allah knows better, Allah knows more than I do, I will be quiet, right? So I mean, a very very common version of this is, say, a lady, someone who's grown up in the West, and the ruling of the permissibility of having more than one wife for a man. And yes, there are other conditions in place, like if his first marriage, if he's mistreating that first wife, it's haram for him to go marry a second wife. There are rulings. Most people don't understand that. They just think, oh, it's the man's right, and then they'll jump into it. So for a lady who's not grown up in a society where multiple marriages are the norm, she's going to feel uncomfortable. This is on top of the fitrah, the normal way people are. And so if she feels uncomfortable with it, she can feel uncomfortable with, say, her husband wanting to marry another wife, or the concept. But she can't be critical of the Sharia, right? Because the one who gave us the Sharia knows more than us. So advise them in a way that makes them less, if they're aggressive, don't rile up their aggression. don't stir the aggression, but advise them in a way that gets them to see, okay, I might not understand some element of it, but there is wisdom behind it. That's the way to do it, and Allah knows best.
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله